Jesus said you'll know a tree by its fruit. Not by its claims, not by its marketing, not by how loud it screams, "I'm a good tree," by its fruit. So let's do an inspection, shall we? Because I've been watching this tree for a while now, and I'm starting to think it's not producing what it claims on the label. See, there's this tree in Arizona, big tree, loud tree. Spends a lot of time telling other trees they're doing it wrong. And for years, people looked at this tree and thought, well, it's loud and confident, so it must be producing good fruit, right? But then you get closer. And you start to notice things. The fruit, it's not just bad, it's rotten. And worse, it's multiplying. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a farmer who stands in front of his orchard and screams, "Best apples in the world! Blessed apples!" Growing rapidly. And you walk up to inspect, and the apples are brown, covered in mold, and half of them have fallen off the tree and are rotting on the ground. But the farmer keeps screaming, "These are blessed apples, the best!" Anyone who says different is cursed. And you're standing there going, "Sir, I can smell them from here." Persecution. You're just jealous of my blessed apples. That's the NIFB. That's Steven Anderson standing in front of a tree that's actively dying while screaming that it's never been healthier. Let's look at the actual fruit, shall we? Multiple children have fled, not just left. Fled? One literally chose to sleep in a ditch rather than go home a ditch. When your own child, your own flesh and blood, looks at a roadside drainage ditch and thinks, "That's safer than my father's house," your tree has a problem. That's not fruit. That's a biohazard. Another son is out here in crop tops and heels, publicly rejecting everything Steven stands for. Another is doing interviews about the abuse. Another apparently believes he's not even Steven's biological son and is relieved about it. That's not kids being led astray. That's your fruit screaming, "This tree is poison!" Pastors are breaking fellowship left and right. The network that once seemed strong, crumbling. The response, "We cast them out, we're purifying." Nobody when everyone leaves. That's not purification, that's evacuation. It's like the captain of the Titanic watching lifeboats launch and yelling, "Good! We're getting rid of the cowards! This ship has never been stronger!" Sir, you're underwater. The church moved to what Steven calls an upgrade. The reality? It's in the most dangerous part of Phoenix. Within weeks, they're chasing people off the property with metal objects, dealing with public indecency in the parking lot, having to call the police. And Steven stands there going, "Blessed! This is spiritual warfare! This proves we're doing God's work!" No, Steven, this proves you made a bad real estate decision, and now you're trying to rebrand consequences as blessings. It's like someone buying a house that's actively on fire and going, "This is great! Free heating! Very efficient! Anyone who says this is a bad house is just jealous!" Steven has spent years praying for his enemies to be struck down, cursed, destroyed. And you know who died? Kevin Rowe, his own guy. His own crew's guy. That's not God backing Steven up. That's God saying, "Wrong team, buddy." When your prayers consistently backfire, maybe, just maybe, you're not the prophet you think you are. The man lives in a basement, wears maid outfits, has publicly admitted his wife has complete control over him financially and otherwise. And he's out here preaching about biblical manhood and headship. That's like a fish trying to teach a seminar on mountain climbing. Sir, you have no authority here. Your own life is the counterexample to everything you're preaching. Here's the thing about fruit inspection. You don't need a theology degree. You don't need to be a Bible scholar. You don't need to win a debate. You just need eyes. Look at the fruit. Is it good or is it rotten?
Are people flourishing under this tree, or are they fleeing? Are families being built up or torn apart? Are children honored and protected, or traumatized and exiled? Is there peace, love, and joy, or control, fear, and rage? You don't need Steven Anderson to interpret the fruit for you. You can see it. And what I see is a tree that's killing everything around it while screaming that it's blessed. And the people who left, the ones Stephen calls cursed, they're the ones who passed the fruit inspection and decided, I'm not eating that. That's not rebellion. That's discernment. That's not being led astray. That's having functioning eyeballs. When people tell you, don't trust your eyes, trust what I'm telling you, that's gaslighting. When someone says, these apples are perfect, while holding a rotten, maggot-infested piece of fruit, that's delusion. And when an entire movement is built on pretending the fruit is good, while everyone with working senses can see it's poison, that's a cult. So here's my encouragement to anyone who's left, anyone who's doubting, anyone who's been told they're wrong for questioning. Trust your fruit inspection. If it looks rotten, smells rotten, and tastes rotten, it is rotten. You're not crazy. You're not deceived. You're not cursed. You're just the only one willing to admit the emperor has no clothes and the apples are moldy. Jesus said you'll know them by their fruits. Not the claims, not the noise, not the rebranding, the actual, observable, undeniable fruit. And if those fruits are kids fleeing to ditches, pastors evacuating, churches in crisis, families imploding, and a leader living in a basement while preaching authority, that tree failed the inspection. You're allowed to say, this isn't healthy, because by their fruits you shall know them. And these fruits, they're screaming the truth louder than Stephen ever could. The inspection is over. The tree failed. And everyone who left, you passed. You looked at the fruit, trusted your senses, and chose life. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. And that is the fruit that matters.